Iran has not been treating that part of the world or the world itself appropriately. A lot of bad things are happening in Iran. The deal is coming up in 1 month, and you will see what happens.
And President Trump finding a strong ally against Iran in Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, who was visiting the White House today. The Iran deal will be up for renewal soon, and President Trump's pick as his new Secretary of State is far more critical of the deal than Rex Tillerson ever was. So is today's meeting with the Saudis the first public salvo against the Iran deal? Here now is Zuhdi Jasser, president of the American Islamic Forum for Democracy. Zuhdi, with Rex out of the way, I think the Iran deal is toast. What do you think?
It really is, and it's good to see Director Pompeo, hopefully Secretary of State soon, designee Pompeo, will be much stronger on this, and I think it's a correct context and perspective to talk about the fact that the visit of MBS, the Crown Prince, who's effectively been the leader of Saudi Arabia, is a salvo not only to Iran but to the Russians and others, that we are recalibrating what used to be a stability. I mean, I can't believe I'm saying this, but the stability of the 20th century is preferable to the appeasement of the Khomeinis that the Obama administration had handed them billions of pallets of cash and this nuclear deal that was abysmal, a surrender. And finally, we're resetting that so that we can begin to reestablish sort of that stability of powers between the Sunnis of the Saudis, Egyptians, and the Gulf states versus the Shia of the Khomeinis. But having said that, we also have to get a perspective that we can't get inebriated with this delusion of reform that MBS claims to be doing.
That was my next question. I mean, we know that the Saudis hate the Iranians. We got that. We understand they're different from different sects in the Islamic tradition, et cetera. But a lot of people in America don't trust the Saudis for good reason. They have financed in the past terrorism. Do you really think they've turned over a new leaf there?
I really don't. I think they figured out, again, this is the same Saudi Arabia that said they were going to reform after '79, that said they were going to reform after 9/11, and here we are. They radicalized the Syrian revolution. They radicalized and have worked with the Egyptian Brotherhood, and now this Crown Prince has sort of brought that in. He tried to marginalize the princes that were spreading the Muslim Brotherhood ideology, and what I've always said is that he is trying to take away the viral jihadists and just do the corporate jihadism. And I would tell Americans before they sort of get drunk with the 60 Minutes sycophantic interview from this weekend, sort of look back and say, wait a minute, these corporate jihadists might be our short-term allies, but long-term, the real allies are the revolutionaries on the ground, the people who really talk about human rights, who really talk about women's rights. And I can tell you, as an American Muslim, I'm done with the words and promises of these tyrants who are drinking the petro money. It's time to look at actions, and they don't talk about human rights because that's not their aspect of change. They are autocrats who might be better than the last ones we had and might be starting to change, but we need to hold them accountable to universal human rights.
All right, Zuhdi, we just have about 15 seconds, literally, but Russia, the president's going to be talking about Russia. What should he say in 15 seconds to the Russians about Syria?
They should not take us for granted. We are going to reestablish the stability that was the 20th century, and they should start to look twice before causing more genocide in Syria, Yemen, and elsewhere in the Middle East.
Zuhdi Jasser, you're a good man. Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate it.